powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, it's Football at 4.
It is Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Adam Caplan and the guys. Another season is here. Adam Caplan, InsideTheBirds.com. The Inside the Birds podcast, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And Adam Caplan, I think, has some news on the Inside the Birds post-game show as well, which is going to be a great show to check in after the Eagles game. So I'll let Adam kind of give you some details on all of that as the Eagles-Lions. We will get into that and more with Adam Caplan here on another edition of Football at 4 on this Happy Hour Friday. What's going on, Adam?
Guys, good to be with you. Yeah, it is week one, and we just got the injury report. We'll talk about that. The Lions have their injury report out as well. The Lions have issues on their offensive line with injuries, but it is week one, and we're looking forward to Sunday.
Yes, indeed. And you mentioned the Lions, some injuries up front. So, obviously, I think, and I have not seen the Lions Friday injury report, but I did keep track of it during the week, and Frank Ragnow was on that, Vaitai as well. Are those guys going to be a part of the game on Sunday? How does that look?
So Vaitai went on IR with a back injury, so he's going to miss at least 4 games. His backup, Tommy Kramer, is out. They are going to move a couple guys around. Frank Ragnow did work some today. He was limited, but he's listed as questionable. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't play. It's week one. They're going to need him. When the Eagles clubbed them last year, the Lions were without 2 starters. I believe Ragnow didn't play against them.
Yep.
So that's certainly going to be problematic. So what they're probably going to do is move Logan Sternberg in his first NFL start. This should be. He was a 4th round out of Kentucky in 2020. And Penny Sewell is the right tackle. Jonah Jackson's terrific at left guard. Taylor Decker's really good at left tackle. Penny Sewell, Greg Cosell was telling me yesterday, did not play well at all in pass protection last year. He's more of a grinder. And that's a problem. So the Eagles have a decided advantage, guys. No question. Their defensive front versus the Lions' offensive line.
Yeah, we obviously know that the Eagles' front 4 or 6 or 7 or whatever they're going to throw at you this year is going to be a little different. Let's start with that, Adam, and the hype of this team. The national hype. We've got people who are all of a sudden, you've had some people starting to pick them to go to a game that's pretty big and it's played in February locally. So Nick Sirianni was asked about it. Jason Kelce kind of sounded off on it. What do you think about all the hype this team is getting? Fair, unfair? How are they handling it?
This is a story. Usually I don't pay attention to this stuff, but I remember talking to people close to the team and a player in particular leading up to the 18 season and during the 18 season. Look, they won the Super Bowl in 17. They're an older team, but they're a little bit full of themselves, and I think it showed. I know they went far. They should have beaten New Orleans. Obviously, Alshon Jeffrey had that bad drop, but they felt they should have been better, and they came in with a little bit of entitlement. Now, this team is super young. They're one of the youngest teams, I think 5th youngest, somewhere around there, depending how you look at it. So they don't know any better, in terms of having success or not. But they did make the playoffs last season. Barely got in. They didn't play well in the playoffs. But to me, Mike, they've got to be very, very careful of how they handle success. And they're going to be successful if the key players are healthy. They're going to be good. We know that. The roster is far superior than probably 20 teams in the NFL. It's just a really good roster. But all it is a roster. They have to play together. And they cannot get full of themselves. And Nick Sirianni, got a lot of respect for him. He's going to have to fight through that.
Eagles injury report's out. You talked about that, or you said that it's out, Adam. Any surprises on there? Anything changed that initially caused one of your eyebrows to go up?
No, actually, they're all going to be available. The only surprise to me is that Josiah Scott, I don't know that he'll even dress because he had been out a while with a hamstring injury. He's available, all of them. None of them have an injury designation, so they'll all be available. And that's good. It's good that the coaches know this, because what happens, guys, is Friday night they have a coaches meeting. Saturday night is the inactives meeting where they decide who's not going to play. And it's good in Friday's meeting as they head into tomorrow's walkthrough before they fly to Detroit. It's only an hour flight, by the way. Before they fly tomorrow afternoon, that they know exactly who's going to be available. That also helps with call-ups for the game, because we know that Andre Dillard's on injured reserve after his surgery. So now with his broken arm, so now you look at it, the only guy that they really have to replace is Andre Dillard. And quite frankly, after what Jeff Stoutland said yesterday, I don't know if they're going to do that with him talking about Jack Driscoll as a potential backup left tackle.
Let's look at the matchup in this game. Adam Caplan inside the Birds. And
they're all healthy, right?
Eagles offense,
Yep.
Lions defense here. Let's take a look at on that side of the ball first. And how does this Eagles offense that, by the way, Adam, racked up 44 points. They scored 4 rushing touchdowns against this Lions defense last year. But how did the 2022 edition match up?
Mike, this is all you need to know. The Eagles only had 11 completions in last year's game. That's it, because they didn't have to throw the football. This is really kind of where it started for them, being the NFL's best running team. Although it's good, things are going to change this season. They're not going to be as run happy or run heavy, but it all depends. See, the way this game comes out, we'll look at the Eagles offense versus the Lions defense. The Lions defense will be better. They're a little bit better at corner. Jeffrey Okudah's healthier. He actually won a starting cornerback job. If you recall, his first 2 seasons ended on injured reserve. Last year he tore his Achilles in week 1, but they opened up the corner competition and he won it. So they're hoping he and Amario Warrior, who is the other starting corner from Penn State, they're both over 6 feet. They're hoping that they can match up against the Eagles. But see, the difference between last year's Eagles team and this year is in this matchup, in fact, the hilarious thing in this game, they only completed 11 balls, and 6 of them went to Goddard. He had 6 catches in that game, and he ran free in their secondary. I'm expecting them to come out maybe more balanced, not so run heavy. Well, here's the thing. The Lions couldn't stop them. It's one thing to say you're going to come out and run, but the Lions were non-competitive against the run. They know the Eagles can do this against them, and Dan Campbell knows, and he said it, they were embarrassed last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the Eagles come out. But here's what I do believe: if they can protect Hurts, they will take shot plays downfield too, down the middle to Goddard, and Quez Watkins could be a factor. The Lions are not deep at corner. You could spread them out, and I expect Goddard to have a huge game. Again, he had 6 for over 70 yards last in that game where they didn't have to throw the football, so he should do really well.
Talk to me about how the Lions offense matches up against the Eagles defense, because you said they're banged up on the O-line. You already talked a little bit about a guy going on injured reserve already. Is that something, and does Jonathan Gannon have the pieces in place now to really be able to turn up the defense and exploit the Lions offense and just capitalize over and over?
Pete, the issue that I think you got to be wary of here is Jonathan Gannon. I understand he's by trade, he's conservative. He's not very aggressive defensively. He wants to win with good coverage. This is what one source close to the situation told me. He's like, look, Gannon, though he didn't coach under Vic Fangio, the scheme that they run is very Vic Fangio based. It's more coverage, not a lot of blitzing. You win without blitzing a lot, but you win by scheme. Disguise. Then they're going to disguise way more than this year. This is another thing that's going to change. And last year, there's only so much they can do because of Steven Nelson, who just didn't run very well. There really are no more excuses. This defense, you got to give the front office credit. We criticized them last year for having a roster that they had. I thought the coaches did a great job overall, particularly on offense, to get them in the playoffs. But there are no more excuses. They've got to be much better defensively. They were terrible against any good quarterback. They were horrendous last season. That's a fact. Jared Goff is an okay quarterback. He was under siege last year. He got hit 6. He got sacked 6 times and was hit way more than that. I'm very curious, guys, how they come out here. Will they be a little bit more aggressive? Post snap, make Goff hold on to the football, check it down to DeAndre Swift. We'll see how the Eagles linebackers are in coverage. And by the way, here's another thing: Kaiser White will probably match up a little bit to Hawkinson, who got them last year. I think he had 8 catches.
Yeah.
By the way, statistically the worst in the National Football League versus tight ends last season.
Yeah, that was going to be, is Hawkinson seems to be, their probably best weapon. Amon-Ra St. Brown on the outside. I mean, you feel pretty good with Slay and Bradbury there. I guess Hawkinson, would he be the guy that concerns you the most, or DeAndre Swift?
Swift out of the backfield. Eagles have a good run defense. I would say Josh Reynolds, they've been facing Josh Reynolds since 2017 when he was with the Rams. So I don't worry about him. DJ Chark's a guy that it's tall, between 6'3" and 6'4". He could run. Not super physical, though, the kind of guys who have given Slate problems, but they are tall. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a really good football player. He's a movable. He's what we call a Z receiver. They'll move him around, But he's not explosive. You're not really worried about him. You just don't want Chark in particular getting over the top, and Hawkinson down the middle. This is where Kaiser White and also Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. How could I forget about him? This guy is a tight end coverer. This is a guy who covers tight ends a lot. Now, we don't know. This is one of the things we're not sure about yet. This is his first game as an Eagle. We don't know if he's going to play a full game, a half a game, whatever the case may be. But it's not like, guys, the Eagles have a lot to turn to at safety.
Adam, I'd like to ask you about Hurts. I just want to loop back to him for a minute because some of the conversations we've had today, so many conversations, have been about the Eagles are going to go as far as Jalen Hurts takes them. And I know that one of the things that Nick Sirianni talked about during the week was his snap to release time, that that's a specific area that he's improved in. Do you also think that he's improved in processing information and reading the defenses better? Is there a chance for Jalen Hurts to exploit this Detroit secondary?
Yeah, Pete, their secondary is not very good. They have a really good safety in Tracy Walker, but overall it's a below average secondary. They're not deep at all. The Eagles should and will spread them out because now you have A.J. Brown added to the mix with Devontae Smith, Goddard, and Quez Watkins. I mean, that's a heck of a four-man pass target group. And then Kenny Gainwell is a movable chess piece in the pass game. Now, the thing on Hurts is what I was told is he was way better at processing. It's still more of a two-read offense. They're going to be heavy RPO based. That's my understanding of what the offense conceptually will look like, much like last season, but less run-heavy base. Will be more. The passing tempo will be up a little bit. So the matchups are here. The only thing that you look at for Detroit is the roster is way better with Aiden Hutchinson on defense. Chark, Reynolds is a bigger factor now. Their secondary should be a little better than last year. Not great, though. But the matchups clearly favor the Eagles. If the Eagles don't win by at least 10 points, it would surprise me. But what I learned, I'm covering this business now 20 years, week one is really weird. Some crazy stuff happens. Not suggesting the Eagles won't win, but the Lions, despite how bad their record was with 3 wins last year, they were competitive in a lot of games.
All right, Adam Caplan, tell us a little bit about what Inside the Birds has got going on for this weekend and Eagles season. Now that we're into the season, where can Inside the Birds be found? What are you doing?
All right, Mike, so we just made a ton of announcements this morning. I know we've been in a bunch of papers and online publications, so what I'll summarize for you very quickly. We're really proud to announce that we just got this deal done with Trey Thomas yesterday. Trey Thomas is going to be at our new, first time ever, post-game show. Me, Mosher, and Trey. You know Trey brings the fire. If you saw him on our pregame show 2 years ago, he was incredible with Greg Cosell. We just got Q&A agreement done. Quentin Michael and Jason Avant will be back with the Q&A show Tuesday mornings at 6 a.m. Eastern every week through the playoffs, assuming the Eagles make the playoffs. Our pregame show at Rivers Casino, you could see us there in person. Me, Cosell, Avant, and Mosher. We'll be there every Sunday when there's a 1 o'clock game. We're there at 10 a.m. Any Sunday night game or Monday night game or Thursday night game, we're there at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's a 2-hour show. Our traffic's been unbelievable. And also our Patreon group, which is private. It's $8 a month. You get such great benefits. Oh, in fact, the first benefit we're going to give you, if you're a part of our Patreon group, you could sign up. It details at our website and on our Twitters at Inside Birds. You get your questions answered. We're going to bring the questions to the show, and we'll get Avant and Cosell and Jeff and I to answer these questions for you. So appreciate it, guys. Looking forward to it, and should be a fun Sunday.
There you go. Inside the Birds, the podcast, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, everything that he just laid out there. Post-game show after the Eagles. You can check it out on all their social media platforms, their YouTube channel.